laughter. These are the true life stories.
I'm Annie Gishiru, and welcome to True Life Stories, where we tell stories of people from all walks of life who are making a difference in our society. Today, we meet an accomplished and highly regarded lady in her field. She is a published author, human behavioral specialist, and a motivational speaker. But the road to success hasn't been easy. Suzanne has undergone insurmountable challenges to get to where she is today. I met with Suzanne, and this is her story.
These are the true life stories.
I was 5 when my family structure fell apart. I found my dad in bed with another woman. The thing about that is that my dad was actually in his 40s and the woman was 15. Everything about that, looking back upon it, is wrong. I reported that to my mum as if it was a game we were playing, and I just remember so clearly from that moment everything changed. The energy of the family, the connection between everybody was broken. My mum was in the family home and I was with her, but she was getting into abusive relationships, and the guy that she was seeing at the time was a drug addict. He would sometimes be home to look after me and would drag me to school in his fury because he was late and my feet would be bleeding by the time I was at school. He strangled me at one stage because I saw too much of his briefcase. On the other side, my dad was with his girlfriend, his mistress, and they were in their bubble. I didn't exist in that world. I felt very alone. And I think at that point my mum also realised she was dropping me off at neighbours for days at a time. My neighbours wouldn't know when she would be back. They became my surrogate family. And so she put me into foster care. I think I was too much to have to handle. And the stress of being in another foreign place with foreign people, it was too much. At the age of 8, I had a nervous breakdown. The doctors described it as severe stress. I was walking into a TV room at school and I just fell to the floor. My neurology had stopped working. I couldn't walk, couldn't move my arms or talk. My parents, I would describe them as damaged, holding on to their past. My dad was born in London and in the 40s grew up in a really rough neighbourhood. He was a rough person. If he could take a shortcut, if he could bully somebody into agreement, that was the way his world was. And my mum, her mum died when she was 8 and she lived with a whole group of girls, her sisters, and a dad who was a single dad. And I think there was a lot of competition in that. So she was always vying to be in attention or the best spot. And all of those things played out in their lives. They were a product of their environment and they weren't able to break it. I was only 15, though as I was on the train going to visit a boyfriend, I realised that being either with my dad and his new wife or with my mum and her new husband, living in very separate parts of the country, but being with either of them wasn't good for me. So I decided that being homeless, so to speak, was a better decision than going home to either of my parents. My dad was happy for me to do whatever I wanted to do, and my mum and I weren't getting on anyway, so I think it was probably a mutual happiness that I was not there. So I think it's the lack of reaction that occurs to me now as an adult, that there wasn't particularly any reaction at all. I was left to my own devices. I was very promiscuous, even at the age of 15. I used sex as a false sense of security. I had partied so much and been with so many people, and I started to feel quite disgusting within myself and hurt. And I had been in contact with my dad over the telephone, not so much my mum, but my dad. And he just said, "Do you want to come home?" And there was this moment in me that, yes, I do, I just want to come home. I met Phil when I was 17. I had moved home and I was working in a local area where I grew up. And he was a chef and I was a housekeeper. And we had decided that we wanted to go and see a show. It was a party night, and that was when we had our first kiss. And I don't know what it was, there was something there that said to me that I wanted the safety of being with him. In 1996, we moved to Australia. Phil was actually offered a sponsorship because he's a professional chef. He said, "Do you want to come?" So I said yes. Phil supported me very deeply, as did a couple of other people that I'd met in Melbourne. And they showed me a version of me through their own eyes that I didn't yet believe was possible, but they did. We moved to Perth as a fresh start, and I met people here that changed the course of my life. People who gave me opportunities. Again, other people who saw something in me that I didn't see. People who gave me those opportunities, people who showed me kindness beyond themselves, strangers who I didn't know, allowed me to, it's almost like I want to say, practice being who I was meant to be in front of them. And those people and these opportunities stopped me from running from responsibility. And because they stuck with me, I stuck with me. Feeling content. Phil and I have a beautiful relationship. I have amazing friends, family structure of my own making, and the ability to see outside of myself, not be so consumed with myself, and be able to touch the lives of others. I believe in all of the people who helped me, who helped me to see who I could be. I will do that. I will pass that on. And so I spend a lot of my time, in fact 20% of my time is spent giving to the community. I'm an Are You OK Day ambassador, and I also am on a board for the Uniting for Homelessness. I want people to know what is possible for them. People get trapped because they don't think there are options. There are options. To feel hope, not helplessness, and not hopelessness, but hope. When you have that, you have the ability to look further than just beyond yourself, to find the resources you need from within yourself or outside of yourself. I want people to understand that they have choices, even if all of the choices sometimes are not great, that if they stop and if they see and if they're able to understand themselves, their emotions, their history, what part that plays, they won't waste their life. They won't continue adversity. Life is changeable. It's a process. To have light, you must have dark. You have to experience it all. But minimizing the negative impact, creating possibility, that's what I want for people.